Floor is yours.
This is going to be short. I was able to attend at least the second set of papers in this workshop. I am very impressed by all of them, and by the fact that we are finally again basically in this engagement between the different regions, talking about very important issues. Let me first make a remark on these environmental papers, and then more generally about CEPR and Asia. Today's session in many ways makes me both happy and sad. Happy because we see how many papers are now and how much research is being done on green issues, on green finance in the first case of the first two papers. I have been teaching sustainable finance relatively recently, and I find that it is absolutely necessary that academia is now in the process of catching up with what industry has been and regulators have been, and policymakers have been saying, have been discussing for years. It's a case, green finance and their implications is a case where academia is clearly not been at the forefront, but is now catching up, and that's absolutely necessary catching up. So finance and finance research is very powerful, has very powerful tools. It's powerful in many ways also because at the end of the day, that's where the money is. The bank robbers know to rob banks because that's where the money is. Finance research is also where the money is. But at the same time, I have to say, I'm sad. And why am I sad? Because when I do the sum total, and again, I try to do, what do we know now? And then I come to what actually counts, namely how far are we getting in terms of the goals? And let me state clearly that my main priority here in thinking is the E and is the global E. It's the question, are we making this planet, are we bringing this planet closer to sustainability in an environmental and climate sense? And here is something that I want to say, and I've been saying ever since I fully understood this, and it was quite a shock when I did understand it. So I feel now like I have to say it every time now I speak about these issues. Because it took me about 10 years. I have been sitting in many areas, in many boards where we were talking ESG, etc. And I was always happy when we were talking about marginal improvements. Emissions can be reduced. Let's stay with the emissions thing. If we can reduce emissions somewhat, then we are on the right track. Now the problem is the following. That's my the main thing that I want to leave you with. At the science of global warming and of greenhouse gases just doesn't work like that. The problem is one that we as economists, and I think also in finance, we tend to confuse flows and stocks. What matters here is the stock. It's not the marginal flow and the marginal flow improvement. It's the stock of CO2 and its equivalents that is already in the atmosphere and unfortunately not coming out. It's going to stay there for hundreds of thousands of years. We don't have a technology to really get it out. So if the stock matters, the additional flow of course also matters, but compared to the stock, it's not there where the main problem lies. So let me give you the numbers. The flow of additional CO2 emissions per year is, and many of you may know this, but the number to remember is 40 gigatons per year. How much is already up there? It's 2,400. I'm citing here straight from the IPCC last report on this on the natural science. 2,400 gigatons are already up there. So now the question is, and there is a limit of how much can be up there until the 1.5 degrees is breached. So the question is, how much do we have left? How many gigatons can we still emit? The answer is, if we want to have a high degree of certainty that we will not breach the 1.5, then it's 300 gigatons. Okay, now easy math, yeah? We have 40 per year at the moment and increasing, 300 left in the budget in order not to go over the threshold of 1.5. So when I talk about it like that, it becomes clear that it's not about a marginal reduction on the emissions here or there. It is about not going over a certain amount ever. Not over the next, ever. That's it. That's all we have left, unless somebody really invents that technology that gets it out of the air and big time, at scale, cheap, etc. Not available. So that's so when I realized that we have a much bigger issue, and that I had kind of been thinking about it in the wrong way. Yeah, that's when I thought, okay, we have also an issue in our profession because we are not thinking about it enough. Okay, so that was my contribution to the climate session. Let me close, or let me finish by saying, I am, as I started saying, I'm very happy with CASE. We founded this research policy network from CEPR almost 4 years ago. Of course, Corona got very much in the way of anything physical and still is in the way of physical meeting. But the idea was that CEPR has actually much more activity, workshops, events, and conferences already had in the past than was visible. And it was about making these things more visible and also adding and the Asia side to CEPR, because as you may or may not know, the E in CEPR does not stand for Europe, it stands for economic. And so we are not limited to Europe, as opposed to the NBR, which is, in terms of its appointments, etc., actually US. So we are now taking up again the impetus to do more Asia. Rising Asia, as somebody earlier mentioned, is a strange name because Asia has clearly risen. But for CEPR, it is an indicative name of the ambition to be more present in Asia. And we already have members, fellows, and events, as mentioned, in Asia. And I have been living the last 5 years in Asia, so I am keen to do to strengthen our Asian roots and activities. And I have been talking to Kenichi. I promise to come back to Tokyo in the not too distant future. I lived in Tokyo for about 2 years, and I was on my way to Tokyo in 2020, February. A trip that got cancelled, and instead Richard Baldwin and I wrote an instant ebook about the economics of Corona. So that is recent history. Thank you very much for having me and for doing this.
Thank you.
Over to the organizers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much. Okay. Well, we thank you so much, and of course we'll be looking forward to see you all in a not too far future with new activities of the RPN. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye bye.
Thanks again. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.